Jack Morrison wiped the sweat from his forehead as he finished checking the mining equipment on Level 7 of Series 7. The asteroid mining station had been his home for 6 months now, and he knew every pipe, wire, and control panel better than the back of his hand. The work was hard, but Jack liked the quiet of space and the challenge of keeping the massive mining machines running. He was heading back to the main hub when the lights flickered. That was strange. The power systems had been running perfectly all week. Jack stopped and listened. The familiar hum of the station's generators seemed different somehow. More strained. Double quotes. Hey, Pete, Jack called into his radio. You seeing any power fluctuations up there? Static answered him. Then Pete's voice crackled through, tight with worry. Jack, we got problems. Big ones. Get to the control room now. Jack ran through the corridors, his boots echoing off the metal walls. When he reached the control room, he found Pete and the other crew members crowded around the main display screen. Their faces were pale. What's going on? Jack asked. Pete pointed at the screen. Look at this. Jack's blood turned cold. The display showed dozens of red dots moving toward their position. Ships, big ones, and they weren't human. When did they show up? Jack asked. 5 minutes ago, said Lisa, the station's communications officer. They came out of nowhere. No warning, no signals. They're not responding to our calls. Jack studied the display. The ships were moving in perfect formation like a military fleet. Their design was nothing like any human vessel he'd ever seen. They were sleek and angular, with strange curves that seemed to flow like liquid metal. How long until they reach us? Jack asked. 12 minutes, Pete said. Maybe less, Jack's mind raced. Series 7 was a mining station, not a military base. They had no weapons, no shields, no way to fight back. Their only defense was a small emergency beacon that would send a distress signal back to Earth. But Earth was weeks away, even for the fastest ships. Send the emergency signal, Jack said. Send it now. Lisa's fingers flew over the controls. Signal sent? But Jack, even if Earth gets it, I know, Jack said. Help won't come in time. The crew watched in silence as the alien ships grew larger. On the screen, Jack could see details now. Weapon ports. Shield generators. These weren't exploration vessels. They were warships. Everyone to the emergency stations, Jack ordered. Follow the evacuation protocol. But they all knew it was hopeless. The evacuation pods were designed for accidents, not alien attacks. They would be sitting ducks in space. The first alien ship reached the station 8 minutes later. Jack felt the impact as it docked with the main airlock. The station shuddered and emergency lights began flashing red. They're cutting through the airlock, Pete said, his voice shaking. Jack made a quick decision. Everyone listen to me. We can't fight them, but we can make sure they don't get what they came for. Lisa, start the data purge. Delete everything. Maps, mining reports, communication logs, everything. Lisa nodded and began typing rapidly. It'll take 3 minutes to wipe the main servers. Pete, you and the others get to the emergency pods. Maybe you can. The airlock door exploded inward. Smoke filled the corridor, and through it came the aliens. Jack's first thought was that they looked almost human. They were taller than humans, with longer limbs and strange proportions. Their skin was pale blue, and their eyes were larger than human eyes, with no visible pupils. They wore form-fitting armor that seemed to shift and move with their bodies. The lead alien raised a weapon that looked like a cross. Between a rifle and a piece of art, it spoke in a voice that sounded like wind through metal. Surrender. You will not be harmed if you comply. The words came out perfectly clear, though Jack could see the alien's mouth hadn't moved quite right. Some kind of translation device. Pete stepped forward, his hands raised. We're not soldiers, we're just miners. We don't want any trouble. The alien's large eyes focused on Pete. You are humans. You mine our resources. You steal from the Empire. Your resources? Pete said. This is unclaimed space. We filed proper claims with the alien fired. Pete collapsed, his body still. The other crew member screamed. Jack felt rage building in his chest, but he forced himself to stay calm. Getting angry wouldn't help anyone. He needed to think. To survive, to find a way to fight back. "The data purge is complete," Lisa whispered. The alien who had killed Pete noticed the computer screens. He barked orders in his own language, and other aliens rushed to the control panels. They worked quickly, their long fingers dancing over the human controls. After a few minutes, the lead alien turned back to the surviving humans. His expression was angry. "Your data systems have been destroyed. This is unacceptable. You will restore." We can't," Jack said. "Once the purge starts, it can't be stopped." The alien studied Jack with those large, cold eyes. "You lie? Humans are inferior. Your technology is primitive. We will extract what we need from your minds." Jack felt a chill. Whatever these aliens wanted, it wasn't just the mining equipment. They wanted information about human colonies, about Earth's defenses. The alien spoke again. "I am Commander Vexstar of the Zephyrian Empire. This system now belongs to us. You will serve us, or you will die like your friend." "The Zephyrian Empire?" Jack said. "Never heard of it." Vexstar's expression was amused. "Of course not. Your species is young and ignorant. You have been mining in territory that belonged to the Empire for 1,000 years. This is theft. This is an act of war." "We didn't know," Lisa said. "If you had contacted us, the Empire does not negotiate with thieves," Vexstar said. "Your kind will be removed from this system. Your worlds will be claimed. Your people will serve or die." Jack's mind was working fast. These aliens were clearly advanced, but they were also arrogant. They thought humans were primitive, weak. That might be useful. "So what now?" Jack asked. "You kill us all? Some of you will die," Vexstar said. "Others will provide information. You will tell us about your colonies, your defenses, your weaknesses." Jack looked at his remaining crew members. There were only 5 of them left. Against dozens of armed aliens, they had no chance in a direct fight. "Take them to the holding cells," Vexstar ordered. "Begin the interrogations." As the aliens herded them down the corridor, Jack noticed something important. The aliens were efficient, but they weren't careful. They didn't understand human technology well enough to know what was important and what wasn't. They had taken control of the station, but they hadn't bothered to check the maintenance areas or the backup systems. Jack had spent 6 months learning every inch of this station. He knew places the aliens would never think to look. If he could get away, if he could hide, maybe he could find a way to fight back. The holding cells were converted storage rooms in the lower levels. The aliens sealed the doors with some kind of energy field and left 2 guards outside. "What do we do now?" whispered Carl, the youngest member of the crew. Jack moved close to the others and spoke very quietly. "We wait, we watch. We learn, and when the time is right, we make them pay for what they did to Pete." "How?" Lisa asked. "They have weapons. Armor, ships, we have nothing," Jack smiled grimly. "We have something they don't understand. We have something they can't take away from us." "What?" "We're human," Jack said. "And humans don't give up." Outside their cell, the aliens continued their work, setting up equipment and establishing their base. They moved with the confidence of a species that had never faced real resistance. They had no idea that they had just made the biggest mistake of their lives. They thought Jack Morrison was alone. They thought humans were weak and primitive. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Jack had been in the cell for 3 days when the aliens came for him. The energy field disappeared with a soft hum, and 2 Zephyrian guards stepped inside. They were different from the ones who had captured him. These wore different armor and carried different weapons. "You will come with us," one of them said. The translation device made his voice sound flat and cold. Jack stood up slowly. His body was stiff from sleeping on the metal floor, but his mind was sharp. He had spent the last 3 days watching, listening, learning. He knew the guards changed every 8 hours. He knew they checked the cells every 2 hours. He knew they were getting frustrated with the station systems. The guards led him through corridors he had never seen before. The aliens had been busy. They had installed their own equipment everywhere, strange devices that hummed and glowed with blue light. But Jack noticed something important. Their technology didn't work well with human systems. He could see sparks coming from junction boxes. Where alien and human equipment met. They brought him to what had once been the station's main conference room. Now it was full of alien technology and screens showing star maps. At the center of it all stood a Zephyrian who was clearly important. He was taller than the others and his armor was more elaborate. When he turned to look at Jack, his large eyes seemed to glow. "I am Admiral Kethruck," the alien said. "You will answer my questions." "I might," Jack said. "Depends on what you ask." The Admiral made a sound that might have been laughter. "You still believe you have choices. This is amusing. Your species lacks understanding of its position, which is? You are defeated. Your mining station is ours. Your people are dead or captured. Your colonies will fall within days. Your homeworld will surrender within weeks." Jack kept his expression neutral, but inside he felt a spark of hope. Days and weeks. That meant the aliens didn't understand how far apart human colonies were, or how long it took to travel between them. They thought taking one mining station meant victory. "You seem confident," Jack said. "The Empire has conquered 1,000 worlds. We have fought species far more advanced than yours. You are insects compared to the civilizations we have crushed." Admiral Kethruck activated a holographic display. It showed the local star system, with red markers indicating Zephyrian fleet positions. There were dozens of ships, all moving toward the inner colonies. "Your nearest colony is 3 days away." The Admiral said, "My fleet will arrive tomorrow. They will surrender or die." Jack looked at the display and noticed something the aliens had missed. The colony the Admiral was talking about wasn't just a farming world. It was New Boston, a major industrial center with defensive platforms and a small fleet of security ships. If the aliens were expecting easy victory, they were in for a surprise. "What do you want from me?" Jack asked. "Information. Defense codes, fleet positions, colony locations. You will provide this, and your death will be quick. And if I don't?" Admiral Kethruck gestured to a device on the table. It looked like a helmet made of metal and crystal. "This will extract the information from your mind. The process is unpleasant and often fatal. But the choice is yours." Jack pretended to consider this. "Before I decide, can I ask you something?" "Speak." "Why do you want human space? There are plenty of systems out there. Why fight us for these?" The Admiral's expression became proud. "These systems contain rare minerals essential to our technology. Your people stumbled upon them by accident. We have been searching for them for centuries. So this is about mining rights? This is about destiny. The Empire expands. Lesser species submit or perish. This is the natural order." Jack nodded slowly. "I see. And you think humans are a lesser species? Obviously. Your technology is primitive. Your ships are slow. Your weapons are weak. Commander Vexstar destroyed your defense systems in minutes." "What defense systems?" Jack asked. "This is a mining station." "We're engineers, not soldiers." Admiral Kethruck stared at him. "You had no defenses? No weapons? Why would we?" "We're miners. We dig rocks out of asteroids. We don't fight wars." The Admiral exchanged glances with his subordinates. They spoke rapidly in their own language. Jack couldn't understand the words, but he could read their confusion. "Your military ships will come," the Admiral said finally. "When they do, we will be ready." "Maybe," Jack said. "But you might want to reconsider your timeline." "Explain." Jack moved closer to the holographic display. "You said my nearest colony is 3 days away, but which colony? New Boston? New Angeles? Or are you talking about the farming settlements?" "The largest human presence in this system." "That would be New Boston. Industrial world, about 40 million people. They have factories, shipyards, defensive platforms, not exactly helpless." The Admiral's eyes narrowed. "You lie. Our scouts reported no significant defenses." "Your scouts saw what they expected to." "See, humans don't build military bases that look like military bases. We build them to look like factories and shipyards. Because that's what they are until someone threatens us. Admiral Kethrak activated another display. This one showed reports from Zephyrian scout ships. Jack read them carefully, noting the aliens' assumptions about human technology and tactics. "You're making a mistake," Jack said. "You think humans fight like you do, honor, glory, formal battle lines. We don't. How do you fight? However we have to. We adapt, we improvise, we use whatever works." The Admiral made that laughing sound again. "Primitive thinking. There are proper ways to conduct warfare, rules, traditions." "Rules?" Jack said. "You killed my friend Pete. You captured civilians. You're planning to conquer our worlds. And you're talking about rules? The Empire follows the laws of war. We offer surrender. We spare those who submit. We are not barbarians." "Neither are we," Jack said quietly. "But when someone threatens our families, our homes, our people, we become something else." Before the Admiral could respond, a Zephyrian officer rushed into the room. He spoke rapidly in their language, gesturing at a handheld device. "Admiral." Kethrak's expression changed as he listened. "What is it?" Jack asked. The Admiral turned to him, his large eyes reflecting confusion and anger. "Your people have attacked one of our supply convoys. They destroyed 3 ships and captured one." Jack felt his heart jump, but he kept his face calm. "Really? With what?" "The attack came from asteroids. They used mining charges as weapons. This is ... irregular." "Irregular?" Jack said. "That's pretty standard for humans." "We use what we have." The Admiral studied the reports again. "This was not a military operation. These were civilian ships. Miners and cargo haulers. Like I said, we adapt." Another officer entered the room, this one more agitated than the first. He spoke quickly to the Admiral, who grew more confused with each word. "Now what?" Jack asked. "Your colony ships are moving in unusual patterns. They are not fleeing as expected. They are ... regrouping." Jack smiled. "Sounds like humans to me. This makes no sense. They cannot hope to defeat our fleet. They should surrender or flee." "Admiral," Jack said, "can I give you some advice?" "Speak." "You keep thinking humans will act like other species you've conquered. We won't. We don't surrender easily. We don't give up. And we definitely don't abandon our people." The Admiral's expression was becoming more concerned. "You are primitive. Your technology is inferior. Your ships are smaller and slower than ours." "Maybe, but we have something you don't understand." "What?" "We're stubborn. When someone hurts our people, we don't calculate odds. We don't worry about proper tactics. We just fight until we win or die." Admiral Kethrak turned back to the holographic display. The red markers showing his fleet positions were now accompanied by blue markers representing human ships. The humans were moving in ways that made no tactical sense according to Zephyrian military doctrine. "Your ships are positioning themselves to be destroyed," the Admiral said. "This is suicide, is it?" Jack asked. "Or are they setting up for something you don't expect?" Before the Admiral could answer, alarms began blaring throughout the station. The lights flickered and the holographic displays wavered. "What is happening?" Admiral Kethrak demanded. A technician rushed to the controls, his fingers flying over the alien interfaces. He spoke rapidly to the Admiral, who listened with growing alarm. "The station systems are malfunctioning," the Admiral said. "Power fluctuations. Communication disruptions. Equipment failures." Jack shrugged. "Old station. Things break down," but inside he was smiling. While the aliens had been interrogating him, his fellow prisoners had been busy. Carl was an electrical engineer. Lisa knew the communication systems better than anyone, and the aliens had made a crucial mistake. They had assumed human technology was too primitive to threaten theirs. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The Admiral studied Jack's face carefully. "You know something about this?" "I know humans don't give up," Jack said. "I know we don't abandon our people. And I know you made a big mistake when you thought I was alone. Explain." Jack looked at the displays showing the approaching human fleet. "Every human you see out there, they're not just fighting for territory or resources, they're fighting for me. For Pete, for everyone you've hurt, this is impossible. You are one person. Why would they risk so much? Because, Jack said, that's what humans do. No one gets left behind. The station shuddered as another system failed. The first real battle began at New Boston 3 days later. Jack watched the reports come in from the station's communication center, where Admiral Kethrock and his officers gathered around their displays with growing confusion. The Zephyrian fleet had arrived expecting quick surrender. Instead, they found orbital defense platforms that looked like simple cargo stations until they opened fire. The human weapons were crude compared to alien technology, but they were effective. More importantly, they were everywhere. How many defensive positions do they have? Admiral Kethrock demanded. His tactical officer studied the readings. 17. Confirmed, but Admiral, these are not military installations. They appear to be converted civilian structures. Converted how? Factories have been modified to produce projectile weapons. Mining platforms have been equipped with explosive charges. Even cargo containers have been weaponized. Jack couldn't help but smile. That was exactly what humans would do. Take whatever they had and turn it into something useful for fighting. The battle reports kept coming in. The Zephyrian fleet was winning, but slowly. Much more slowly than they had expected. Every human position they destroyed seemed to be replaced by 2 more. This is impossible, Admiral Kethrock said. We destroyed their primary defense grid in the first hour. How are they still fighting? They appear to have multiple backup systems, the tactical officer reported. And they are using unconventional tactics. Explain. They are ramming our ships with cargo vessels. They are using mining explosives as weapons. They are coordinating attacks from positions we cannot locate. Jack knew what was really happening. The humans at New Boston weren't fighting like a military force. They were fighting like engineers and miners and factory workers who had decided to protect their home. They were using every tool, every machine, every piece of equipment they could find. Sir, another officer said, we're receiving reports. From the surface, ground resistance is heavier than expected. Admiral Kethrock pulled up the surface reports. The Zephyrian ground forces had landed expecting to face a few security teams. Instead, they found themselves fighting construction. Workers with plasma torches, miners with explosive charges, and factory workers who had turned their machinery into weapons. They are using industrial equipment as weapons, the ground commander reported. Bulldozers with armor plating, welding torches modified for combat. They have turned their entire city into a fortress. Jack watched the Admiral's expression change, from confidence to concern to something approaching fear. The Zephyrians were learning that humans didn't separate military and civilian capabilities the way other species did. When threatened, every human became a potential soldier. How long to secure the colony? Admiral Kethrock asked. Unknown, sir. They appear to be fighting from prepared positions throughout the city. Every building could be a stronghold. Every worker could be a combatant. The Admiral turned to Jack. This is not how civilized species conduct warfare. Maybe not, Jack said, but it's how humans fight when you threaten our families. On the 3rd day of the battle, something happened that changed everything. A human ship, badly damaged and seemingly helpless, drifted toward the Zephyrian command vessel. The aliens prepared to destroy it, but then they detected life signs aboard. It appears to be a rescue vessel, the tactical officer reported. Medical ship. They are requesting permission to evacuate wounded. Admiral Kethrock hesitated. The laws of war his people followed included provisions for medical vessels. Grant them safe passage. The human ship approached slowly, broadcasting medical codes and showing clear identification as a hospital ship. The Zephyrians watched it dock with a disabled transport, apparently to rescue survivors, but Jack knew better. He had seen that ship's design before. It wasn't just a medical vessel. It was a mining support ship, modified for rescue operations. And if humans were using it in a battle zone, they had a plan. The explosion, when it came, was massive. The medical ship had been packed with mining charges. When it detonated next to the Zephyrian command vessel, It took out the aliens' primary communications array and damaged their main weapon systems. They used a medical ship as a weapon, Admiral Ketherick said, his voice filled with shock. This violates every principle of civilized warfare. It wasn't a weapon when they launched it, Jack said. It was a rescue ship. They probably did rescue those people. But humans are good at making things serve multiple purposes. The Admiral stared at him. You knew they would do this. I knew they wouldn't give up. I knew they would use whatever they had to. That's what humans do. The battle for New Boston continued for 3 more days. The Zephyrian fleet eventually won, but at a cost they hadn't expected. They had lost 12 ships and hundreds of soldiers to what should have been a simple conquest. Worse, the humans had used the time to prepare other colonies, reports came in from across the system. Human settlements were fortifying, organizing, turning their entire populations into defensive forces. This is not sustainable, Admiral Ketherick, as second-in-command, said. If every human world fights like this, we will lose more ships than we can afford. They cannot all fight this way, the Admiral replied. New Boston was an industrial world. Other colonies will be easier. But Jack knew they were wrong. The reports from other worlds told a different story. Farming colonies were using agricultural equipment as weapons. Mining worlds were turning their entire operations into defensive systems. Research stations were developing new weapons and tactics. The thing the Zephyrians didn't understand was that humans shared information. Every lesson learned at New Boston was being transmitted to every other human settlement. Every successful tactic was being copied and improved. 3 weeks after the battle for New Boston, the reports from Earth arrived. Jack was brought to the command center to witness Admiral Ketherick's reaction to the news. This cannot be accurate, the Admiral said, staring at the intelligence reports. The data is confirmed, sir, his intelligence officer replied. Earth's industrial capacity has increased by 40% in the last month. They are converting civilian factories to military production. They are mobilizing their entire population. 40%? This is impossible. No species can increase production that quickly, Jack spoke up. You're thinking like Zephyrians. You think military and civilian production are separate things? They're not. For humans, we build cars, we can build tanks. We make computers, we can make guidance systems. We mine asteroids, we can make weapons. Admiral Ketherick pulled up more reports. The intelligence was disturbing. Human colonies weren't just defending themselves. They were coordinating, sharing resources, sending reinforcements to each other. They are acting like a unified species, the Admiral said. This is unprecedented. Is it? Jack asked. You attack one of us, you attack all of us? That's always been true. But the distance is involved. The time required for communication. How can they coordinate across such vast spaces? The same way we coordinate mining operations. The same way we coordinate research projects. The same way we coordinate anything. We plan ahead, we prepare for problems, we work together. The Admiral was studying a tactical display showing human fleet movements. Something was clearly bothering him. Their ships are moving in patterns that make no sense, he said. They are not following any known strategic doctrine. Maybe because they're not following doctrine, Jack suggested. Maybe they're just doing what works. This is chaos, random actions. How can they hope to defeat a coordinated military force? Jack looked at the display. He could see what the humans were doing. Even if the aliens couldn't, they were setting up for something big. Every movement, every seemingly random action was part of a larger plan. Admiral, Jack said, can I ask you something? Speak. How many wars has your empire fought where the enemy's entire population became soldiers? The Admiral was quiet for a long moment. None. Civilized species maintain separation between military and civilian populations. And how many wars have you fought where the enemy had no central command structure to defeat? None. All species have military hierarchies, command centers, critical points of failure. And how many wars have you fought where destroying the enemy's infrastructure only made them stronger? Admiral Kethruck didn't answer. He was beginning to understand that this war was unlike anything the Zephyrian Empire had ever faced. "You want to know the truth?" Jack said. "Humans don't fight wars the way you do. We don't have honor codes or military traditions. We have one rule: protect our people. Everything else is just details." The Admiral turned back to the displays. More reports were coming in. Human resistance was growing stronger, not weaker. Every victory the Zephyrians achieved seemed to trigger larger human responses. "They are learning from every engagement," the intelligence officer reported. "Adapting faster than our tactical models predicted." "How is this possible?" Jack answered. "Because every human who survives a battle teaches others what they learned. Every engineer who improves a weapon shares the design. Every doctor who saves a wounded soldier passes on medical knowledge. We don't just fight as individuals, we fight as a species." Admiral Kethruck stared at the reports for a long time. Then he looked at Jack with something that might have been respect. "You are not what we expected," he said. The alarm that woke Admiral Kethruck came at 3 a.m, station time. Jack was already awake in his cell, listening to the sounds of panic echoing through the corridors. He had been expecting this moment for weeks. "Admiral, to the command center immediately," the voice crackled over the station's communication system. "Priority emergency. All senior staff report at once." Through the energy field of his cell, Jack could see Zephyrian soldiers running past in the corridor. They moved with the sharp, urgent movements of people who had just received very bad news. 20 minutes later, 2 guards came for Jack. They didn't speak as they escorted him to the command center, but Jack could see the tension in their posture. Something had happened. Something big. The command center was chaos when Jack arrived. Admiral Kethruck stood in the middle of it all, surrounded by displays showing tactical information. His usually calm demeanor was gone, replaced by something Jack had never seen in a Zephyrian before: fear. "Sir," an officer was saying, "the long-range sensors confirm it. Earth's main fleet has reached the outer system. They'll be here in 18 hours. Admiral Kethruck studied the tactical display. Red dots representing the human fleet filled one side of the screen. There were hundreds of them. Far more than the Zephyrians had expected. "How many ships?" the Admiral asked. "Current count is 412 vessels, sir. But the formation suggests there may be more we cannot detect." Jack whistled softly. 400 ships. Earth had sent everything they had. Admiral Kethruck noticed Jack's reaction. "You seem pleased by this news. Wouldn't you be?" Jack asked. "My people are coming to get me. 400 ships against our fleet of 600. They cannot hope to win." "Maybe not," Jack said, "but they're going to try." The Admiral activated another display. This one showed detailed scans of the approaching human fleet. Jack studied the ship designs with interest. Some he recognized, military vessels from Earth's Defense Force. But many were ships he had never seen before. "These are not all military vessels," the tactical officer reported. "We're detecting converted cargo ships, modified mining vessels, even passenger liners with weapons attached." "They brought everything," Jack said with admiration. "Military, civilian, everything that could carry a weapon or a person." Admiral Kethruck looked confused. "Why would they bring civilian ships to a military engagement?" "They will only increase their casualties." "Because every ship can help," Jack explained. "Cargo ships can carry supplies. Passenger ships can evacuate wounded. Mining ships can ram your vessels or lay explosive charges. Every ship has a purpose. This is madness. No proper military force would operate this way." "You're right," Jack said. "A proper military force wouldn't. But this isn't just a military force, this is humanity." More reports came in as the hours passed. The human fleet was moving in a formation that made no sense to Zephyrian tactical doctrine. Ships were scattered across a wide area with no apparent command structure or battle plan. "They have no coordination," Admiral Kethruck said. "No central command. How can they hope to fight effectively?" Jack watched the display carefully. To Zephyrian eyes, the human formation looked chaotic. But Jack could see the pattern. The ships were positioning themselves like a net, surrounding the Zephyrian fleet from multiple directions. Maybe they don't need central command, Jack suggested. Maybe every captain knows what to do. Impossible. No fleet can operate without coordination. Human fleets can. We've been doing it for years. Every ship captain is trained to make independent decisions. Every crew knows how to adapt to changing situations. As the human fleet drew closer, more details became clear. The ships were not identical military vessels like the Zephyrian fleet. Each one was unique, modified for specific purposes. Some carried heavy weapons. Others carried equipment for boarding actions. Still, others were clearly designed for rescue operations. It's like they planned for every possibility, the tactical officer said. They did, Jack said. That's what humans do. We plan for everything we can think of, and we improvise for everything we didn't think of. Admiral Kethrak was studying intelligence reports from the past few weeks. The human response had been faster and more comprehensive than anyone had predicted. Your species mobilized their entire civilization in less than a month, he said. How is this possible? Because when you threaten one of us, you threaten all of us, Jack said. Every human understands that, from the factory worker who built ship parts to the pilot who's flying them here. But the logistics, the coordination required, the resources. We've been coordinating across space for generations. Mining operations, trade routes, colony supply lines. We know how to work together across vast distances. The first engagement began 12 hours later. A squadron of human ships encountered a Zephyrian patrol at the edge of the system. Jack watched the battle unfold on the command center displays. The human ships moved like nothing the Zephyrians had seen before. Instead of maintaining formation and trading shots at long range, they scattered and attacked from every direction. Some ships used conventional weapons. Others rammed Zephyrian vessels. One mining ship released a cloud of explosive charges that crippled an entire enemy squadron. They fight like animals? Admiral Kethrak said with disgust. They fight like humans, Jack corrected. They fight to win. The main battle began 6 hours later when the bulk of both fleets met near the gas giant that dominated the outer system. Jack was brought to the command center to watch, though he suspected the real reason was that Admiral Kethrak wanted someone to talk to as his world fell apart. The battle was unlike anything in Zephyrian military history. The human fleet didn't engage in the formal, organized combat the aliens expected. Instead, they swarmed the Zephyrian formations like angry bees. They have no discipline, Admiral Kethrak said as he watched human ships break formation to pursue individual targets. They have something better, Jack said. They have initiative. Every captain out there is making decisions based on what they see, not waiting for orders from above. A Zephyrian cruiser exploded on the display, destroyed by a coordinated attack from 6 human ships that had appeared from different directions simultaneously. How did they coordinate that attack? The tactical officer asked. We detected no communications between those vessels. They didn't need to communicate, Jack explained. They all saw the opportunity and took it. That's how humans work. As the battle continued, the Zephyrian advantages in technology and firepower began to matter less and less. The human ships were individually weaker, but they were everywhere at once. They attacked from unexpected angles, used unconventional tactics, and adapted to changing situations faster than the aliens could respond. Sir, an officer reported, we're detecting boarding parties on 7 of our ships. How did they get through our defenses? They didn't, sir. They used cargo ships modified for ramming. The ships were destroyed, but the crews survived and are now fighting inside our vessels, Jack smiled. That was a classic human tactic. Turn a disadvantage into an advantage. Use the enemy's expectations against them. They're using their ships as weapons and delivery vehicles simultaneously, the tactical officer said with something approaching admiration. Sir, another officer called out, the destroyer wing is reporting unusual activity. Human ships are attaching devices to our hulls. What kind of devices? Unknown, sir. They appear to be mining charges. Admiral Kethrak's eyes widened. Mining charges? They're turning our own ships into weapons? That's humans for you, Jack said. We use whatever works. The explosions began a few minutes later. All across the Zephyrian fleet, ships that had been boarded or approached by human vessels began to suffer internal explosions. The humans had turned the aliens' own vessels into bombs. This is insane, Admiral Kethruck said. They're destroying ships they could capture and use. Maybe they don't want your ships, Jack suggested. Maybe they just want to stop you. By the end of the first day of battle, the Zephyrian fleet had lost nearly 200 ships. The human fleet had lost more, but they kept fighting with a determination that shocked the aliens. They should retreat, Admiral Kethruck said, watching his tactical displays. They're taking heavy casualties. Any rational commander would withdraw. Maybe. They're not fighting as commanders, Jack said. Maybe they're fighting as families. What do you mean? Jack pointed to the display showing the human fleet. Every person out there knows that if they fail, the Zephyrian Empire will conquer Earth, will enslave or kill their families, will destroy everything they care about. So they're not fighting for military objectives. They're fighting for survival. Admiral Kethruck stared at the displays for a long time. Then he turned to Jack with an expression that mixed respect and fear. Your species is not rational, he said. No, Jack agreed. When you threaten our families, we're not rational at all. We're something much more dangerous. What? We're human. Outside the viewports, the battle continued to rage. But Jack could see something in Admiral Kethruck's eyes that hadn't been there before. Doubt, the certainty of Zephyrian superiority was cracking, and Jack knew that once that crack appeared, it would spread until the whole thing came apart. The battle had been raging for 3 days when the explosion started on Admiral Kethruck's command ship. Jack felt the deck shake beneath his feet as emergency alarms blared throughout the vessel. The energy field keeping him in his cell flickered and died. Jack stepped out of his cell for the first time in weeks. The corridor was filled with smoke and the sound of running feet. Zephyrian crew members rushed past him, shouting orders in their own language. None of them paid attention to one escaped human prisoner. Jack made his way toward the command center, following routes he had memorized during his captivity. The ship shuddered again as another explosion echoed through the hull. Whatever was happening, it was big. He found Admiral Kethruck in the main corridor directing damage control teams. The alien's normally perfect uniform was torn and stained. His large eyes reflected panic and confusion. Admiral, Jack called out. Kethruck spun around, his hand moving to his weapon. When he saw Jack, his expression mixed anger with something. That might have been relief. You, the Admiral said. How did you escape? Your security systems are having problems, Jack said. Probably the same problems affecting the rest of your ship. This is sabotage. Your people have infiltrated my vessel. Maybe, Jack said, or maybe your ship is just falling apart. Happens a lot when humans get involved. Admiral Kethruck grabbed Jack's arm. Come with me. You will explain what your people have done. They reached the command center to find it in chaos. Half the displays were dark. The others showed confusing information about system failures throughout the ship. Officers ran back and forth trying to restore order. Report, Admiral Kethruck demanded. Sir, an officer said, we have hull breaches on 12 decks. Power is failing in sections 7 through 15. The main weapon systems are offline. Cause? Unknown, sir. It appears to be a cascade failure. One system fails, then others follow. Jack looked around the command center. He could see what was really happening. The human prisoners hadn't just escaped. They had been busy. Carl's engineering skills, Lisa's knowledge of communications, the expertise of every human on the ship. They had worked together to turn the Zephyrian vessel against itself. Sir, another officer reported, we're detecting movement in the maintenance sections. Something is moving through our internal systems. Boarding parties? Negative, sir. The signatures are too small. It appears to be individuals working alone. Admiral Kethruck turned to Jack. Your people, how many escaped? Does it matter? Jack asked. One human who knows what they're doing can cause a lot of damage. This is impossible. Our security systems are advanced. Our ship is designed to prevent infiltration. Your ship is designed to stop aliens who think like you do, Jack said. Humans think differently. The ship shook again, more violently this time. Emergency lighting came on as the main power grid failed. Sir, the tactical officer said, the human fleet is closing on our position. They'll be in weapons range in 10 minutes. Admiral Kethrak studied the tactical display. His fleet was scattered and damaged. Many ships were reporting the same mysterious system failures that plagued his command vessel. The human fleet, though smaller now, was moving with purpose and coordination. How many ships do we have left? The admiral asked. 340 functional vessels, sir. But many are operating at reduced capability. And the humans? Approximately 200 ships. But sir, they're moving in attack formation. They appear to be concentrating their remaining forces. For a final assault? Jack watched the display with interest. The human fleet was indeed moving for a final battle. But he could see something the Zephyrians couldn't. The human ships weren't just attacking. They were positioning themselves to rescue survivors from damaged vessels. They're coming to get me, Jack said quietly. Admiral Kethrak heard him. What? My people, they're coming to get me. And everyone else you've captured. This is madness. They're risking their entire fleet for a few prisoners. That's what humans do, Jack said. We don't leave people behind. The first human ships reached the command vessel 15 minutes later. Jack watched through the viewports as sleek fighters swarmed around the massive Zephyrian ship, targeting weapon systems and communications arrays. They're not trying to destroy us, the tactical officer reported. They're disabling our defenses. Why would they do that? Admiral Kethrak asked. Because they want this ship intact, Jack said. Because they know I'm on it. A new alarm started blaring. Sir, an officer called out, we have multiple hull breaches. Human ships are docking with us. Boarding parties? Yes, sir? And sir, they're not just military personnel. We're detecting civilians, engineers, medical personnel, Jack smiled. That was humanity for you? When they came to rescue people, they brought everyone who could help. Doctors to treat the wounded. Engineers to fix damaged systems. Civilians who refused to be left behind. The battle for the ship lasted 2 hours. Jack could hear the fighting echoing through the corridors as human boarding parties fought their way toward the command center. The Zephyrians fought bravely, but they were facing an enemy unlike anything they had encountered before. The humans didn't fight like soldiers. They fought like rescue workers, construction crews, and emergency responders. They moved through the ship with the systematic efficiency of people who dealt with dangerous situations every day. When the command center doors finally burst open, Jack wasn't surprised to see Lisa leading the rescue team. She was carrying a plasma cutter in one hand and a medical kit in the other. Jack, she called out when she saw him, are you hurt? I'm fine, Jack said. But we have wounded Zephyrians who need help. Lisa nodded and immediately began treating injured aliens, even as her teammates secured the command center. Admiral Kethrak watched in amazement as humans who had been fighting his people moments before now worked to save their lives. I don't understand, the Admiral said. We are your enemies. Why do you help us? Because that's what humans do, Lisa said as she bandaged a wounded Zephyrian officer. We fight when we have to, we help when we can. Jack walked over to Admiral Kethrak. The alien leader looked defeated, confused, and strangely curious. It's over, Jack said. Your fleet is broken, your ship is captured, but your people are alive. Why? Admiral Kethrak asked. You could have destroyed us all, because we're not like you, Jack said. We don't conquer for the sake of conquering. We don't kill for the sake of killing. We fight to protect what we care about. But we attacked you. We killed your people. Yes, you did. And we'll remember that. But we'll also remember that your people can learn. Can change? Can become something better? Admiral Kethrak stared at Jack for a long moment. Your species is unlike anything we have encountered. I know, Jack said. That's what makes us dangerous. And that's what makes us worth knowing. Through the viewports, Jack could see the rest of the battle ending. Zephyrian ships were surrendering or being disabled. Human rescue ships were already moving to help survivors. "What happens now?" Admiral Kethruck asked. "Now you go home," Jack said. "You tell your empire what you learned here. You tell them that humans are not an easy target. We're not primitive. We're not weak. And we're not alone. And if we return, then we'll be ready," Jack said. "Because that's what humans do. We prepare, we adapt, we protect our own." Lisa finished treating the wounded Zephyrians and walked over to Jack. "Ready to go home?" Jack looked around the command center one last time. At the damaged displays showing the end of the Zephyrian invasion. At the alien officers who were learning that defeat didn't mean death when fighting humans. "Yeah," he said. "I'm ready." As they left the ship, Jack could hear Admiral Kethruck speaking to his remaining officers. The alien was already planning his report to the Empire. A report that would tell them humans were not the easy conquest they had expected. The rescue ship that carried Jack home was filled with freed prisoners, wounded humans, and even some Zephyrian survivors who had asked for asylum. It was crowded and chaotic and noisy. It was perfectly human. Jack sat by a viewport and watched the stars as they flew toward Earth. Behind them, the scattered remains of the Zephyrian fleet were being escorted to the edge of human space. Ahead of them lay home, family, and the knowledge that when one human was threatened, all of humanity had responded. "You did it," Lisa said, sitting down beside him. "You survived. You made it home." "We all did," Jack said. "That's the point. When humans are threatened, we don't fight as individuals. We fight as a species, and that makes all the difference." The ship flew on through the night, carrying its human cargo home to a world that had proven it would never abandon its own. The galaxy had learned something important about humanity. Something that would be remembered for generations. When you threaten one human, you face them all. And behind every human stands the strength, determination, and unbreakable will of Earth itself. The Zephyrian Empire would not make the same mistake twice. They had learned that humans were not alone. They never had been. They never would be. That was what made them human, and that was what made them unbeatable.